All right, welcome to the BPS 600 webinar. We're going to be going through some really important information today, along with Coach Connie from Constantly Fit. So just quickly about Bike Pack Shop, we're an online bikepacking retailer. So we sell bike gear, we sell all different products. So our website is bikepackshop.com. We're running this event alongside some other really cool businesses. Over to you, Connie.
Thanks, Max. My background is I train lots of people. So I train all different sort of abilities and age groups and backgrounds. I also have been coaching for, it must be about 10 years now, people trying to go to the world champs for off-road triathlons, endurance events, like 24-hour mountain biking, anyone that's sort of kind of doing anything mountain biking or triathlon related, but it's usually off-road triathlon that I focus on. So I do have a business which I train before and after school kids with mountain biking and running. I also have an adults PT business, semi-private model, which is like the mums and the dads in that sort of 9 a.m. then 5 a.m. time slot. Yeah, that's basically me.
Yeah, so just a bit of background. Connie used to coach me before I started racing. So I got a lot of my endurance back when I started riding through Connie's sessions. That's sort of helped me get into this scene, I guess. So we do have some programs that we've developed, which we'll be releasing very shortly. And you'll be able to find them under this video on my website. So stay tuned for that. So we'll just quickly bring up a bit of history about this event. This is only the second edition. So last December, only a few months ago, was the first event in summer. And yeah, I think that's why I've, turned around and quickly put another event on in the winter, is because the summer event was brutal. We had, I think, 35 riders start between the 300 and the 600 route. And I think we had 7 complete in total. And although it was very hard elevation-wise and distance-wise, a lot of the tough riding came from the heat. So it was, you'd have like big 12-hour days and you're just in the sun the whole time.
So how about like you run, like you've told me, but let's just say it again so everyone else knows. Why don't you run through how much did day one take you? What was the length of the ride that time? So as in time wise?
Yeah. So each day, I think day one was about 10 hours. Every day we were riding from, dusk till dawn.
And so that was the 4,000 meters of climbing on day one.
Yeah. So day one, 4,000 meters climbing. I think we only got like 140 Ks. Both me and Josh, which is, it sounds like a lot, but we were trying to get to about 220 on that first day. And it was that heat really took it out of us. Not that it's not doable getting to that. We were trying to get to Jimna on the first day, which is 220 Ks in. And not to say it's not doable, because CJ, another rider, did it, and he rode part of it through the night. But during the day, it was very hot. So the ride from last year is going to be very different to the ride from this year.
So going back to that first one, so you did 220 Ks on day one. It took you 10 hours, did you say?
Yeah, around 10 hours.
And it was 4,000 meters of climbing. And what time of the day did you start?
We started at 5:30. Yeah.
And then what about day two?
Day two was, I think we had a 6:30 a.m. start because we had an atrocious sleep on the side of a road in Belthorpe National Park. So we would have only got a few hours sleep. I did anyway. We started at 6:30 and we rode all the way through till about, I think, 10:30 at night that day. That was another big 4,000 meter elevation day. We had 220 kilometers. So it was the whole day was riding. And that was a very sunny and hilly day. So we were in the sun for basically the whole second half of the day. Once we got out of the forest. We got into the BVRT and headed towards Bundy Mountains. It was all in the sun, so there was no protection, which it won't be as big of an issue in this next edition because of it. It's going to be winter. It's going to be a lot cooler.
And where did you top up on your water?
So water top ups, the first day up until Woodford, there is really only going to be one water top up. That's going to be at the top of Mount Glorious. There's a guy who lives up there who's friends with one of the riders, and he puts out 2 drums of water, which is really kind of him. That's at the top of Mount Glorious, just after the England Creek climb. Second day, there is a few more water top-ups. You can top up at Woodford. You'll need, I will go through this a bit later in the video, but you'll need to be carrying at least 4 litres of water. And that's enough to last you most of the day. You'll be able to top up at Gymna, and then you'll be able to top up at Linville. And through the second day is a lot easier. You've got a lot of water top-up points and a lot of food stops. So it'll be a lot easier on that second day. But yeah, it's really just that first day is what kills most people. If you're going to pull out, it's going to be on that first day. That's
what I was just about to say. Where was that point that you had to turn off if you don't want to go any further? What point is that point?
So Woodford is about 130 k's in, and up into Woodford, I think it's about 3,500 meters elevation, and it's the hardest part of the route. Is that first 130 k's to Woodford, and it's so easy, mentally, to think, oh, if this is too hard, I'm just going to turn off at Woodford and go back on the BVRT.
Some people did. Some people turned back.
A lot of people did.
So what, you lost half the field?
It was very hot. So fair enough. But if you can get to Woodford and you can just push that extra 50 k's in and get yourself to Gymna, it gets a lot easier from there on.
And just so that I know that, I'm really talking about the first 2 days because I know that they're like the big 4,000 meters of climbing days. I just want to really have a big conversation right now about how self-sufficient you need to be for this, and you have to be really prepared. So if you are going into this event and you know that you've got to do 8,000 meters of climbing, how much training did you do before you did this event?
I'm a bit of an anomaly. I sort of can ride these big elevation days without putting in crazy numbers some of the other races might be doing 400 or 500 k's a week. But I was making sure that I was doing a lot of big rides. So these are rides of over 4 hours. So for most people, you might want to be around 4 to 5 hours. I'm doing maybe 10, 11 hour rides. These are big 2 to maybe 4,500 meter elevation days. So just making sure that you don't need to train and do 600 k's over 4 days, but you need to be able to do one of those days. So if you want to do a 200k day with 4,000 meters elevation, make sure you're able to do that before you get on this ride.
So and then on day 3, they're the 2 big days. Day 3, you said what was that, 1,500 meters of climbing?
It was a big day. It was all on the road. And it was a lot of Ks. So I think we had 220, 230 Ks, with 30 kilometers of it was on the dirt. So it was a lot easier, and the elevation was about 1,500 to 2,000 meters. We had Josh Amberger, who's a pro triathlete, and he sat on the front, and we could have a bit of draft, both me and another rider, Tom Story. So we were very lucky to have that. And he's got a very big base, so he just sat on the front most of the day and pedaled away.
Sorry, I was going to say that he filmed it, didn't he? So if anyone wants to watch this, they can actually go onto his YouTube channel and watch the whole event.
I'll link the video down below this one. So on the page where you find this video, if you just scroll down a bit, you'll be able to see that video of last year's event, which Josh was able to shoot, which is really cool. It gives a good insight to a lot of the hills and just how brutal this event actually is.
Because also too, those first 2 days, they're actually you have to navigate yourself as well. This is not a race where it's prepared by, I don't know, event organisers and there's help. So you actually have to be really self-sufficient in terms of having your GPS Didn't one guy, his battery ran out or something on his GPS,
Yeah,
so you guys had to go back and get him?
yeah, that was a rider. I don't know what happened. His GPS broke somehow, and he got lost. He went the wrong way. That was at night, to be fair. But yeah, just going on that, you do have to be self-sufficient, and you
Yeah.
really need to be able to support yourself. You need to be responsible for everything. You can't
Yeah.
rely on me or Connie or anyone else out on the route to
Yeah.
be able to help you or navigate you, because we might not have reception because I'm going to be riding it and Connie's
Yeah.
going to be riding it.
Yeah.
This event is like, here's a route and here's a bunch of riders and
Yeah.
here's an after party, you do the rest. So
Yeah. So
we'll
we
give you
can
the
give them the route.
resources to prepare for it, but
Yeah.
when you're riding, it's up to you to be
Yeah,
able
that's
to
right.
find your way. So quickly running through on the fourth day, that was a much shorter day, so I think we had 60 Ks. Still had about 2,000 meters elevation. Was probably, I reckon, we had a bit of a bigger group. We had 5 riders, and it was one of the harder days. So I think it was, yeah. So we started on the BVRT, headed from Lowood to Fernvale, and from Fernvale we went back up into Mount Glorious. And I've deliberately made this last bit of the route really hard, so it goes up quite a few. I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but when you get to it, you're probably gonna hate me. Yeah, so you'll see, but it's brutal. It's the last day. You're tired. You just want to get home, and there ends up being a lot of climbing. So
Yeah.
yeah, but that's given that you do it in the same format that we did it, because you might do more Ks the first day and you might get it done in 3 days, or you might be wanting to do it over 6 days. It
Yeah,
depends on
that's a
how
good
you want to
point.
ride it.
Yeah, like that's a really good point, because there was another person that rode with you that started later than you guys but caught up to you guys.
Yeah, so CJ, shout out to CJ. He
Yeah.
left on the Friday afternoon and got caught us up on the Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So I think he did a 6,500 meter first day, with 200 or so kilometers. And yeah, he did it in a much shorter time. But that's not advised. You might think, oh yeah, I'm going to just ride through the night, but it's harder than you think. It is really brutal, and if you've never done an event like this, you need to give yourself. You might do it over 3 days, but you should give yourself 4 days, just so you have that extra.
I would recommend. Yeah, I recommend that people actually take a break.
Yeah,
if they
for
haven't
sure.
done this before. It's kind of like that 24-hour, not 24-hour, but like, you know, those compulsory stops in adventure racing now, where they actually had to enforce that because a few people died and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like they made it mandatory.
Quickly, I'm just gonna go through a few other points. Start and finish locations. So there's the start goes up Mount Nebo Road. So as long as you can just get yourself there. Finish location is Ascent Cycles, which is in Wilston, 158 Edmonton Street, it's on my website, so you'll be able to see it there. And we're gonna have barbecue, beers, and you'll be able to see a few of my products and stuff, and have some good banter with other riders who've done the ride.
Yeah.
Some other really good points which I learnt from the last event. No one can save you if you're lost and you don't have food. People might be able to find you, but there are sections where you are in the middle of nowhere, you don't have reception, and if you get a mechanical and you don't know how to fix it, you're just gonna have to walk yourself out. So you can't rely on someone picking you up, because there are points where you are nowhere near a road. You're ages away from a road, like a day's walk away from a road. So you've got to be self-reliant. And you just can't rely on other people. You can't think, oh, if I'm stuck, I'm just going to call someone to pick me up. And I must also say that it's a lot easier to ride with another person. It's a completely different ride when you're doing it solo. You sort of go crazy riding 3 days by yourself. That's not easy. That's an easy thing to do. So riding with a group of people completely changes the dynamic. And you got different people's expertise. Some person might not know anything about bikes. The other
Yeah.
person might be a bike mechanic. So when
Yeah.
you're riding with other people, you've got a lot of different knowledge as well. And it
Yeah.
gives you someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Okay. So just some essential gear items. You need a shelter. So that can be bivvy, tent, tarp, hammock, that sort of thing. You want a sleeping bag as well. It can get really cold up in the mountains. It probably will get into the negatives in winter time. So that's really important. A cooking set and some food. So that would be a gas cooker. Don't rely on fire just in case it's raining. And yeah, at least one night's worth of food just in case you get stuck out somewhere and you can't get to the shops to be able to get yourself food. Then another really important thing is to have some cash on you. So if your phone runs out of battery and you can't transfer money on your online banking, it means you can't buy food. So having like $50 of cash can be. So another really important item is a first aid kit or like a survival kit if you're into that stuff. So you've got, one of those emergency blankets just in case you do get into a bad situation. You want, standard like snake bite kit. It is going to be winter, so it's not snake season, but you just don't want to take those risks when you're out really in remote places. That's an important piece of kit to bring. Remember, you don't need to bring a big proper first aid kit because that's a lot of weight, but as long as you've got the essential items. I'll link some videos below just on some DIY bike packing first aid kits for you. Kit wise, I brought 3 jerseys and 1 pair of bibs. There is quite a few creek crossings which you can, wash off in. My partner Josh, who I rode with, he brought 3 bibs and 3 jerseys, which weighed him down a fair bit, but he enjoyed that. But how I think about it is within the first hour, you're going to be sweaty as anything. So as long as you're able to wash those bibs every now and then, I think there's nothing wrong with just taking one pair, but it's all up to you. So a lot of people don't want to do that, and that's perfectly fine. But you've got to be conscious of the weight of your bike. So you don't want to be lugging around a 30-kilo bike with all the gear on it. I was able to get my bike down to 14 kilos, fully packed. It's an 8-kilo bike, so I had 6 kilos of gear with me. I am going to link a little spreadsheet that I've made with distance between relevant points of interest, so you know where the shops are and where you can fill up. Because if you time it right, distance-wise, you don't really need to bring a whole lot with you.
Because you said you stopped at pubs, hey? So there was
we stopped at a few pubs and stuff. You can time it very, very well. Like you don't need to bring 4 nights worth of food. Like you just don't need to. If you're quick, like if you can ride 200 k's on that first day, you really don't need to bring. You might want to bring 1 backup meal, but you don't need to bring any food. Like you'll be able to stop at Woodford, except for ride snacks. Obviously, you need stuff to fuel you throughout the day, but you'll be able to stop at Woodford to get dinner. Next night you can stop at Linville or Yarraman or Cumbia, and then the night after that you can stop at Lowood or Fernvale, and then finish the ride off. So there are a lot of towns along the way, which is a really good part of this route. It's just that first few hundred k's is quite remote. I'm going to quickly go into a bit about bike maintenance, and not really bike maintenance, but more about making sure that your bike is in good working condition before you start the ride. That means new tires. You know who you are, Josh. He had a very worn out tire, and it did cause a few flats. But luckily he brought a spare tire with him, which you don't need to do. Just get a few new tires before you ride. But luckily he had that spare tire because he completely shredded his current one up. And yeah, we had to stop a fair few times. But just making sure that your bike's in good condition. So if your chain's worn, don't ride it, replace the chain. If your chain ring's worn, replace it. making sure you're topping up on sealant if you're running tubeless, and you're also carrying a few tubes. Don't rely on tubeless plugs to get you through. You might need a tube. It's always really good to have a tube. You want to bring lube with you, so a little bottle of lube. I've got like a little bottle here, and you can put whatever lube in that you want. This is my choice. Protein, it's really good stuff. We sell it, so let me know if you want some of this, and I can get you a deal on that. And just putting whatever lube you want, really, in a small container, is, it's perfect. You can top up every morning so your chain isn't crusty. That avoids snap chain as well, which is
and then
obviously
brakes.
handy. Yes, so brakes, you want new brake pads before you ride if they're worn. If they're not worn, obviously that's fine. If you need a brake bleed, that's probably advised as well. Just making sure your bike is in really good condition. So if it needs a service, if you haven't ridden it for a while, if you haven't serviced it for a while, just take it into the bike shop. It's going to be the best $150 to $200 you can spend before the ride.
So I wanted to ask you to just have a quick chat, because when you told me about the ride, I was like, I'm going to have to get a new bike. But you're like, no, your hardtail would be fine. Your hardtail mountain bike's great for this course.
Yeah. So it's not a gravel bike course by any means. You can ride a gravel bike on it, and a lot of riders did ride a gravel bike. I think most of them actually rode a gravel bike, but that first few days is really mountain bike territory. So Dundas Road and Goods Road descent, that is quite sketchy on the gravel bike. Completely doable, but you need wider tires. So 50C or bigger, so that's 2-inch or bigger, is advised. But yeah, I rode my hardtail, and a few other riders rode their hardtails. I think someone rode a Julie as well. So mountain bikes are perfect. I would suggest a hardtail is the perfect bike for it. You don't need to run any ridiculously wide 2.5 tires. It's not that hardcore. But look, whatever bike you have, it will work. But
you could, it's just going to make it double the distance, double the strength.
It's all about sort of minimizing weight, I guess, but you do want to be comfortable at the same time. So if you're used to riding a semi-fat bike, then don't go onto a gravel bike just to do it. Just use the bike that you have, but make sure you're comfortable in riding steep trails on whatever you have. So if you've got a hardtail, works perfectly fine. So Connie, with your Trek, that would be a perfect bike for this event. It's very similar to what I ride. My bike, I'll show you a quick picture. It's a Merida Big 19, and it's got Strame Eagle on it, so it's got a big range of gears, which is really useful for when you're climbing up big hills with bikepacking gear. It gives you that extra range, so you can go a bit slower and just take it a bit easier without having to really push down on the pedals. Helps you save a bit of energy.
Yeah, so my 2x10 is going to be fine on that.
Well, you're hardcore. You'll get through it.
Yeah.
There's a fair bit of range on that anyway.
Yeah, no, it's fun. This type of ride appeals to me and you, but I know I'm not as fit as you at the moment, but it appeals to people like us who are like, this is a really, really hard ride. It's going to be like an all-day type of battle to get through it. And you're going to be in a lot of pain. It's going to attract those type of A-type personalities. People who really, really like climbing. I don't think if someone hasn't done this amount of climbing before, or close to this, I don't think, it's for them.
Yeah, it's
probably do the half.
Not to say you can't do it, but you want to be able to train at this level. So if you haven't done this sort of climbing, just get out there and have a go. Try and do 1,500 meters, 2,000 meters, and just give it a go. See how you feel. And it's gonna be hard to start off with, but if you put in the work and you put in the elevation, you'll definitely be able to complete it.
Even if you trained for it. Like the events we got organized to get fit for this would get you really, 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 really elevation fit. Like
Yeah.
even if you intended to do the race and you just did all the training and all the events that we're putting up before the actual ride comes up, I reckon that would make you super, super fit to even do
Yeah, just in general.
Yeah, like it's actually a really, really good program.
Yeah. So just more going into the people who would want to do it. Yeah, so it is like those sort of crazy people like you and I who, you know, don't mind if they hit rock bottom. That's a good terminology which Lachlan Morton uses a lot. It's you've got to be willing to hit rock bottom, and you've got to want to, because you will in this ride hit rock bottom at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're including a program with this event, and even if you can't do the event and you just want to get the program, just get the program, and it's a pretty good one to get you fit for something that's coming up. I'll just go through the 7-week one. So what I've done is this is designed for a time poor person as well. So if you want to do more, you can do more. This is to get you there. And the way I've structured it is you're going to do most of your riding Saturday and Sunday, and then on Monday, and then on Tuesday. So there's 4 days back to back, which is kind of like what you will be doing in the event. So you will be riding for 4 days in a row. And I've started it out, and I've just sort of stipulated like a time base. So I've got on Mondays, it's an easy spin day. And that's kind of like your recovery day, because you would do all your big Ks over the weekend. And it's just to get you to flush out all the lactic acid and then get you going again for the next day. I have put in there so you can do 1 to 2 hours. It depends on where you're at. So if you are obviously already doing 3-hour rides on a Monday, do a 3-hour ride. But anyway, I've put 1 to 2 hours, just assuming that these people haven't started yet and they want to start training. And then after the 3rd week, you can add 10% to that time slot. So if you want to, you can add on some more distance as you're getting fitter. The Tuesday session is a single track ride. So I want to incorporate that one. That's meant to be with your friends, try and make it fun. And I've also put in the time frame there that it's an hour and a half. But if you are fitter than that and you're riding more than that, you can add on more. Or you can sub in. So you can either do wind trainer sets on that one. I think I even said that you could, even if you're time poor, you can just go to a hill and do hill repeats. It just depends on your lifestyle. Then I put a core session in on the Wednesday. I've written down what's in the core session. Me and Max will end up doing some of those exercises so that you can see them. They'll all be like bike related and injury prevention related, so that you can keep training. The gym session is on the Thursday. And that's all to do with strengthening up your back and your bum and your glutes and your core for the ride. And then I've put in a rest day. Also, if you are used to riding, then you can spin on that day. And then on the Saturday, I've put in there, you're starting at 3.5 to 4.5 hour ride. Now, with this one, I've put in there on the first day that you can test how long it's going to take you to do that 4.5 hour ride. So it's kind of like a starting point, and then I'm going to retest you later on in the program just to see how you're going. Once again, these are just guidelines. So if you are used to doing more, then you can do more than that. And the same thing with the 3rd week. So then you can up your mileage on that day. So you can add on 10% to what you're doing, whatever that. So if you're at your limit and you're already doing an extra, if you're already doing 4.5 hour ride, you can add on extra to that. Or if you're doing 5.5 hours, you can add on 10% extra to where you were on that one. Then you have to follow up with that big ride on a strength ride day. And the Sunday is all about doing hills, you can try and ride all day if you want, but you've just got to find as many long sustainable hills and do as many as possible in that ride. And it's more about the elevation.
And if you're in Brisbane, just reach out, because I've got a lot of really good routes that you can use to help train.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just reach out, but yeah, you want to find those long sustained climbs.
Yeah, actually, I do have a Sunday ride. That's what all we do on that ride is we try and do hills. So, yeah, you're more than welcome to come along to any of those sessions. The same thing with the that 10%. You've got to increase that after 3 weeks, so you can put that distance up or put the elevation up. I usually go by elevation. I don't usually go by the kilometers, especially with this event.
Quality over quantity, I think.
Yeah, honestly, it's more about when people say they do 100 Ks, it doesn't necessarily mean a lot. Like, it could be, if they did a lot of elevation in that 100 Ks is probably what's going to be key to this whole event. Because 8,400 meters on the first 2 days is a lot. And then saying that this whole program is structured around the fact that you might be commuting to work. So I've just put in there that it's suggested if you can commute wherever you can commute, do it. So if you, even to the point where, so if you are riding to work 5 days a week, that's like an extra, I don't know if it takes you an hour or half an hour both ways. And that it all adds up. Also, I often do this sometimes, if someone's going to, I don't know, a friend's house and they're all going in the car and you can ride your bike there and meet them there, like do that as well. So you can add in sneaky bits of training as well.
We're going to include the programs on the site, so you'll be able to download them and print them out if you want, or you can follow them online. But if you do have any questions, make sure you have a look at the details below, or you come and talk to us. So just send us a message. If you have a question for Connie, just send me a message or Connie a message, and we can answer that for you. So yeah, we're here to help. It's going to be a big event, and we want to be able to help you prepare as best you can for it.
Also too, I'd just like to mention, like, Max's starting point is quite high compared to mine. So I haven't been doing lots and lots of riding like Max has and regularly. So I am starting from that grassroots kind of, like, I've got, fitness background and everything, and I have been riding my bike for a long time, but I haven't been doing a lot of elevation climbing. So I will be starting my program pretty much from now anyway.
Yeah.
So I do have group rides, and so if you are at that same point, then you're more than welcome to join in with my squad if you want to, if that helps.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and this program is basically what both of us are going to be running off as well, leading up to the event. So it is tailored towards this event. So don't think it's just some generic program. Like, this is what you need to do to get fit for this sort of stuff.
So the main, sorry, I was just going to say,
trust the process, really.
Yeah, like, it's all about the climbing in this. It's really designed about strength. It's not really about the Ks. So yeah, you kind of have to shift your mindset. And this is I was thinking also, for those people that have got an event coming up and there's a lot of climbing, this actually will get you fit for that. So even if you don't want to do the event, you could do all the training with us and not do the event if you want. Or you could intend to do maybe you've got the half coming out, you're going to put the route out.
400 route.
Yeah, and see how you're going. And then by the time the event comes up, you can kind of make that decision when you're at that point where you can take that turn and think, all right, I can give it a go.
Yeah, for sure.